Okay, we're going to jump into adding decimals today. So I have the process for adding decimals written here at the top, and we'll kind of walk through that. Notice that first off, I have estimate the answer before you complete the actual problem, which goes along with the estimating lesson that we did earlier. So I'm going to add my tool here. Okay, so we're going to estimate first. And again, students can just go with that initial 18 plus 6, or if they notice that it's close to 19, they could do 19 plus 6. And that gives us about 25. So we know the answer should be somewhere near 25. Now, adding and subtracting somehow seem to be the most challenging simply because of lining everything up. There are many students who will want to go 18.18 and 900 2000ths and 6 and 21 hundredths, and they will line it up like that. Other students will say, okay, well, when I line up my multiplication problems, or when I did that in the past, I made sure my numbers were aligned on the right. And so they'll line them up that way. And so the biggest issue here is trying to reinforce the idea that we are adding place value with place value. So I'm going to add my tens over here with my tens over here. There are no tens over here, so there's nothing underneath there. I'm going to add the 8 in the ones place with the 6 in the ones place. And once I have those place values lined up, my decimal points naturally line up with each other, and then all my other place values are lined up. 9 in the tenths place, 2 in the tenths place, 0 in the hundredths place, 1 in the hundredths place, 2 in the thousandths place, and I've got nothing in the thousandths place over here, but step number 3 says annex zeros, so I can add my 0 here. It's not really necessary in addition because you're still going to add nothing, but it does get them into the good habit of putting that 0 there for subtraction, because sometimes it is necessary for subtraction. Now, I do like to give students the problems written horizontally, so they then have to line everything up themselves. If you simply give it to them vertically like this, most students can add the 2 and the 0 and the 0 and the 1, and they can go through the addition just fine and get 25112. And if it is already lined up for them, it's pretty easy for them to say, okay, my decimal point's just going to stay in line there. But if we give the problem to them horizontally like this, then they have to stop and think about what they're lining up with what. Once students get to 6th grade, they have had typically some experience with adding and with multiplying, and they do tend to mix up these rules because they've learned the rule that for multiplication, you can't have many numbers are to the right of the decimal point, and you put that many numbers to the right of the decimal point in your answer. And sometimes they confuse that with where the decimal point is supposed to go with adding. So just as I talked about in the estimating decimals section, the idea for me is that they don't need to think so much about those rules. They need to think about what makes sense as an answer. So up here, when we said 19 plus 6 is about 25, well, then my answer should be about 25. And if I mix up my rules and I say 6 numbers should be behind the decimal point, that would put my decimal point all the way over here, and that would not make my answer 25. So we want to really focus on that estimation part and get them good at that so that they can continue with that logic when they're looking at the answers. We'll just look at a couple others here. 23. So there's a 2 in the tens place and a 4 in the tens place. So the 4 should be under the 2. There's a 3 in the ones and a 5 in the ones. And then the decimal points automatically line up. I have a 1 in the tenths and an 8 in the tenths, a nothing in the hundredths, and a 9 in the hundredths. And then I did not estimate first. So if we just go with our 23 and 45, they might make this 46, but either one's okay. That would give me 68 or 69. So those are my estimates. And then when we go ahead and do the addition, and please forgive me if I make some kind of quick error as I'm doing this quickly, we get 68.99, and that is close to both of these answers, extremely close to 69. All right, number 3, I love to give them problems like this where we have only one number to the right of the decimal point and one problem in one of the addends, and then 3 to the right in the other one. So they really have to think about it. So here's 100. There are no hundreds over here. Here is a 0 in the tens place. I have no tens place. Here is a 2 in the ones place. This one's got a 0. And then we place the decimal points. I have a 7 in the tenths place here, an 8 in the tenths place, and then a 7 in the hundredths, and a 5 in the thousands. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog walking. And then I can annex some zeros here. Now, when we estimate this one, this is about 102 or 103. And this one is pretty close to 1. It's not even to 1 yet. It's between 0 and 1, so I can round it up to 1 since it is, this is an 8. 8 tenths is closer to 1 than it is to 0. And I can say my estimate here is 104. And then we add 5, 7, 15, carry the 1, 3, 0, 1. And we can bring the decimal point straight down, but we can also say my answer is supposed to be close to 104. 103 makes sense to put the decimal point there. And that is what we have got for adding decimals. And then, of course, we did all these steps. We estimated, we aligned the place values in the decimal points, we annexed zeros where necessary, we solved, and then we compared to see if the answer was close to the estimate. If you have any questions, let me know.